Hello friends, and welcome back to another episode of Last Minute Laura. My name is Laura, and today I am going to show you how to make this super cute headband. Basically, it's a textured stitch on either end of a really pretty braid detail that's super easy to make, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So for this project, you're going to need a couple of things. You're going to need a 5mm crochet hook. I'm just using a basic aluminum one. You're going to need a yarn needle just to sew it together in the end and to weave in your ends. You're going to need a pair of scissors to cut your yarn. You're going to need a measuring tape so that we can make sure it's the same width as around your head so it fits you. And you're going to need some yarn. I'm using Briggs & Little Heritage yarn today in Fern Green. Just thought it'd be a cute little, green headband. I've got pink hair, so pink and green, you know? And I made this one to test the pattern. I used sport weight wool and I used 2 strands, one in gold and one in rose. So it's like a yellow and a pink. I think it turned out really cool though. I like how it looks. Anyway, if you want to learn how to make this headband, keep watching. So let's get started. First, we're going to chain 18 stitches. Then single crochet into the second chain from the hook and single crochet across. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 18. And then I'm going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. And then I'm going to single crochet across. 1, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 16, and 17. And just to help myself out for later, I'm going to hold on to that tail end from my original chain as I finish this single crochet. So I'm going to wrap it around and pull it through right with the final single crochet. And then I'm going to chain 1 with both of those pieces of yarn still, and then I'm going to turn. So for the next row, we're going to single crochet in the first stitch, and then in the next 7 stitches, we're going to alternate between back loop only single crochet and front loop only single crochet. So for the next stitch, that means back loop only, and then front loop only for the next stitch. So now we're at 3 stitches, back loop only for stitch number 4, front loop only for stitch number 5, back loop only for stitch number 6, front loop only for stitch number 7, and back loop only for stitch number 8. So we made it to 8. Sounds a little complicated, but once you get the hang of it, it's a pretty easy pattern. Okay, so we made it to 8 stitches. Now we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm going to reattach. I'm skipping 1 stitch though. I'm going to reattach, just skip that middle stitch, and I'm going to reattach on a back loop on the following stitch. And now I'm just going to complete the pattern same way. So front loop, back loop, front loop, back loop. And the last stitch, I'll do a regular single crochet. So for this next stitch, front loop, and the next one, back loop only, the next one, front loop. There's another 8 stitches on this side, so it's going to be exactly the same as the first half of this. And you're going to finish on a back loop, just like last time. And then last stitch will be a regular single crochet. That's just going to keep the edge nice and straight on this headband. And then chain 1 and turn. Okay, now we're on row 3. So we're going to single crochet in the first stitch, normal. And now we're going to start with a front loop single crochet. And the next stitch, we're going to do a back loop. So we're doing the reverse pattern. And the next stitch, we're doing a front loop. And the next we'll do a back loop, and the next a front loop, the next a back loop, and then the last one will be a front loop. And now we're at that chain 5 space that we made by doing chain 5 on the last row. We're going to chain 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't need to worry about this right now, but it's going to end up being our braid later. Okay, and then we're going to reattach at the other end with a front loop, and then back loop, single crochet, front loop, single crochet, back loop, and front loop, and oops, back loop, and the last one's going to be a front loop. And then we're going to single crochet in the last stitch. It might be a little tight if you did the weaving in the ends like I did, but it's okay. It's all going to work out. There we go. And then we chain 1 and turn. And we're going to do the same thing as row 2 now. So the first one we're doing a single crochet, and then the second one we'll do a back loop. And then we'll do back loop, front loop, back loop, front loop, all the way until we get to that chain 5 space. And then guess what? We're just going to chain 5 again. Chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Attach on the back loop on the other side, and then front loop, single crochet, back loop, single crochet, front loop, single crochet, and back loop, single crochet. Do you see the pattern we're getting now? It's really easy once you get flowing on it. It's just getting started on switching between the front loop and the back loop. But once you get it sort of flowing, it starts to speed up, and you can get this hammered out pretty quick, to be honest. So I'm going to keep doing that same thing, front loop for the first stitch, back loop for the first stitch, depending on what row we're on. And I'm actually going to do that for all the way up to row 46. So it's going to be a little while, it's going to take a little bit of time, but I'm going to jump back in when we're a little bit farther along so I can show you how it sort of grows up and what we're going to have to do next. So complete 46 rows of this single crochet in the front loop or back loop only every other stitch. It just creates a really nice sort of mesh woven pattern. It spreads out the loops in a way that I don't usually see. So I think it's kind of cool. It's a little different, but also super easy. I like it. So after a few rows, well actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 rows, you can see kind of how it's going to fill out. I'm going to go through another row, but I just wanted you to see how the texture is looking a little ways in. I feel like it has such a pretty texture, doesn't it? And this gap is actually going to be gone because we're going to do some cool sort of looping, and that'll make the braid in the middle. But don't worry about that for now. Just get your 46 rows done. This part should cover your ears all the way. If you put this on your head, you want to make it long enough that it's going to cover your ears. And for me, I guesstimated that it was somewhere around 18 inches was how long I want it to be. So just crochet until the piece of fabric is long enough to cover your ears. So I'm saying 46 rows, but if you have to do 47 or 48, it's cool. Just do as many rows as you need to do in order to cover your ears. Anywho, I'm going to finish up all of the rows to cover up my ears. I'm doing front loop only, back loop only on this row, except for the first stitch and the last stitch, which are just regular single crochets, remember, and there's that chain 5 in the middle. So once we make it to the middle stitch, we chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We reattach on the same side loop as you detached on. So for me, that was front loop on this row. And then continue the pattern, back loop only, front loop only, back loop only, front loop only. And that's just, again, gonna create this cute texture that I think actually is looking super cool with the green. I feel like I'm getting even more out of it than I got in the pink and yellow one that I made as a sample. I like this even more. Okay, so I'm gonna finish my rows, and when you finish your rows, come back here and I'll show you how to get the rest of it knocked out. Okay, so I've just finished my 46th row. So row 1 to 46 is done. So my headband is 14 inches long and about 5 inches high at this point, but it's about to shrink a little bit in the 5 inches part. It's gonna go down to like 4. Because these 5 stitches in the middle, we're going to do a little technique to make them turn into a braid. So what we're gonna do is grab the first chain 5 and then just put your crochet hook in through the middle stitch above it. So the chain 5 is like a hole. The stitch right above the hole in the center, put your crochet hook on there, in there, then hook that chain 5 like as if it's one piece of yarn and pull it through that stitch. Did that make sense? And that's gonna draw your piece together, just like that, see? And then next, you can use your crochet hook again if you want. Put your crochet hook into the loop that you've made, hook onto the chain 5 below it, pull that through, and then grab that loop and pull that really tight. And then you just keep repeating that, pulling up the next loop with the hook, and then pulling it really tight. And we're just gonna do that all the way down the headband, one by one, until we get to that last row, row 46. Okay, so I took it all out so I can show you again. So the first thing we're gonna do is find the middle stitch. On that first row, we're gonna find the middle stitch. There it is, see? Then the next chain 5, we're gonna stick our hook into that middle stitch, grab that chain 5, and pull the chain 5 through that middle stitch. Then we're gonna pull that loop pretty snug. And now you're gonna have a loop. So stick the crochet hook into that loop and grab your next chain 5 and pull up that loop. And then pull that one nice and tight. Sorry if my hands are getting in the way. And then we're gonna stick that crochet hook into the next loop, pull up a loop with the next chain 5, pull it nice and tight. We're just gonna repeat that all the way down the project until we get to row 46. While I do this, I'd love if you could hit that like button. And if you're new, hit that subscribe button. I put out new videos every single day. I live stream Monday to Friday, and I put out edited videos like this on Tuesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So if that sounds like your thing, definitely subscribe. Okay, so now the entire braid is put together, and you can see that those loops actually made a really cool sort of thing happen. So we're on the last loop now, so I'm gonna pull up a loop on that 46th row, and I'm just gonna hold the loop there. And now we're gonna start crocheting again. This row though is just single crochet across. No front loop, no back loop, just single crochet across. When you get up to that middle stitch after 8 stitches, you can just grab that loop as if it's a stitch and do 1 single crochet with that loop. And then move on to the next stitch and just single crochet across. That's gonna secure that braid in. Now it's secured in with a stitch, and also it gets rid of the edges of your braid. For the next row, we are going to single crochet in every single stitch across again. Now I'm going to single crochet 2 together in the first stitch of the row and in the last stitch of the row. Otherwise, I'm just gonna single crochet across. All right, in this next row, we're gonna do the same thing. So we're going to single crochet 2 together in the first stitch and single crochet 2 together in the last stitch. Otherwise, single crochet across. go. Now we are on row 51. So for row 51 all the way to 65, we're going to single crochet across. 51 to 65. We've reduced that edge just a little bit, so you're going to be able to tell where the front and the back is other than just from that cool pattern. So I'm going to do the next 15 rows from row 51 until row 65. Just going to do my single crochets, and I'll come back here when I'm done my rows of single crochet. This is also the point at which you can add rows if you want. If you want to add a few more rows in here, if you've got somebody with a little bit of a bigger head, you could do that. If you need something a little bit smaller, then you can subtract a few rows from this portion. Okay, so I just finished my 15 rows. I'm at row 65 now. And the total length of the headband at this point is 18.5 inches. And around my head where the headband's gonna sit is about 22 inches, 22.5. So what we're gonna be doing next, this is going to fit me. I've already done this pattern a couple times. So if you've got a head like mine, then just follow this, but definitely add more or take some away if it's getting too big for you or if it looks like it's nowhere near gonna fit. So I'm just finishing up row 65, and now I'm going to chain one. And then now for row 66, it's going to be 2 single crochet in the first row, and then single crochet across and 2 single crochet in the last row. So I already put my 2 single crochet at the beginning of this one. I'm just going to single crochet across, and then I'm going to put 2 single crochets in that last stitch, and that's going to expand us out a bit. Then chain one and turn. And same thing for this row. We're going to do 2 single crochets in the first stitch, 1 and 2, and then single crochet across with 2 single crochets in the last stitch. At the end of this row, chain 1 and turn. Across. Okay. And now for the next row, for the next 2 rows, so for row 68 to 70, we're just going to single crochet across. So no more increases, just single crochet across until you hit row number 70. Okay, so I just finished row number 70, and now you can see that decrease we did at the beginning, the straight row, and now we've got the increase at the end. And now it's time to attach this bit to this bit. So what we're going to do is single crochet it together, or slip stitch. I'm going to do a slip stitch. Sorry, I'm just unlinking that. So line up your stitches, make sure that you're at the first stitch on the row, and I'm going to just change the shot so it's a little bit closer up for this. We're on that last stitch. Now what I'm going to do is take the hook out, and we're going to put the braid, we're going to fold the side that has the braid on it over on itself. And then we're going to put the hook in on the first stitch on the other side, and then pull the loop through. And then I'm just going to turn my work back over, and now I'm in the running anyway to slip stitch this whole thing together. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm just going to insert my hook into the next stitch and through the whole thing and through the next stitch of the other side, and then I'm going to pull the loop through both, and I'm just going to do that all the way across. I'm just slip stitching together. You could also sew this if you don't want to slip stitch it together. It's just I already have the yarn attached, so it's even easier. All right, and then I'm going to just pull up one more chain and then pull it real tight. Cut the yarn and pull it through. And then you can see you've got like a little seam there. Easy peasy. And now I'm going to take my yarn needle and just weave in those ends right away. And I'm just going to weave it through the stitches we just did. There we go. And then snip that first one. So now what I'm going to recommend you do is take this headband and put it under a towel on your ironing board, and then turn your iron onto the heating setting that's appropriate for wool, so it's not full heat, and turn on the steam. And just underneath your towel, steam this down, and that'll help if there's any curling going on with the headband itself. One other thing that I like to do just to finish off any of my crochet projects, and I am going to do it for this one, is I like to crochet one time around the whole project, just around all of the rows. So I'm just going to do a row of single crochet. I'm looping on with my 5mm hook still, doing one chain to secure, and then a chain to represent a stitch. And now I'm just going to single crochet all the way around this hat, this headband. And I'm going to do that on both sides. And for this part, keep an eye on your tension. It's okay if you get a little bit more snug with this part. It's kind of nice if you even have a little bit of a tighter stitch for these finishing stitches. It just makes everything line up really neatly and kind of holds the whole thing together, I think. Okay, so I'm just wrapping up here. I'm on the last couple of stitches. I'm just gonna secure my yarn, trim it off, then I'm gonna weave in my ends and I will be done. I will recommend again, if you've not tried it before and you're not somebody who usually blocks your handmade things, try that iron trick. It's honestly, it's like the next best thing. If you can't block something, which is soaking it and then pinning it to a board basically and letting it dry that way, if you can't do that, then put it under the iron on a steam setting with a towel over top, and you'll get some really good results for flattening it out. But there it is! What do you think? It's a pretty cute headband, right? I'm going to insert some shots here of me frolicking about in the headband so you can see it in action in all of its glory, but I really love this braided detail. I think it really adds a little something extra, and I think by doing those front loop and back loop crochet stitches, I think that we got some really cool texture. Like, it's kind of, I don't know, I'm into it. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below what you think. And hey, don't forget to subscribe. I put out new videos every single day. Monday through Friday, I do a live stream in the morning from 7 a.m. until 8:30 a.m. And then Tuesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, I put out edited tutorials like this. So if you got something good out of this headband, then definitely subscribe, because chances are something will be here for you tomorrow. And don't forget to like the video. It really helps me out, and the channel is on a huge upswing right now. So hello everybody, welcome to the Last Minute Laura YouTube channel. I'm Laura, and thanks for subscribing. So, like I said, I really hope that you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope that you give it a try. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.